I probably screwed up over the last 10 years not having a little peer group of small business owners that are totally non-competitive, completely there to share and help and support. Because this is definitely lonely. I don't think you want to be going home from your downswings, so to speak, and like venting straight to your spouse. I think you want, especially in the first few years, you want to know, okay, I'm dealing with XYZ problem. Is this typical? Is this just like a temporary thing? Or is it not? Do I have a huge problem? Does it need to be acute? And without that pattern recognition, I think that ownership, the owner community can really help.
All right, welcome back to The Intentional Owner. Sam and I were catching up pre-call and then decided we should probably just record it.
Yeah, we were talking about stuff that everybody would want to know about. So
yeah,
and we're celebrating a little bit of a win.
That's true. We were talking basically, we did a commercial job in Bluebell, which our bread and butter is residential work, but we've started to build some relationships with, GCs, basically construction GCs or commercial property managers who, like there's a certain sect of them that like all they care about is getting the cheapest price possible because that's how they're bidding their jobs, is to win at the lowest cost possible. But there's another set of commercial clients that I'm learning that they're winning based on quality and value. And so those folks are also willing to sub out for quality and value, right? Which is like in the case of the job that we just did, basically the work was within 25 feet of an active railway. And so everyone on the crew had to get a background check done by the railway. Everyone had to go through this like railway training program online. Like it was probably cumulative between my time and the crew time, like 15 hours of like actual labor just to get compliance set up for the job. And that's the kind of stuff that like a lot of tree guys just don't want to deal with, right? It's like a huge headache for them. And we did it and we billed for it, obviously. But then we were able to get the actual work done at our rates. The guys made prevailing wage, which is higher than their normal pay. And the clients were super happy because, we came in under our T&M budget and got the work done. And so it's a real win-win-win where I've sort of had in my head that like all commercial jobs, I have to sacrifice margin to get them. And this is one where we took on instead the headache of project management, which is like a level of project management that is higher than most tree companies want to deal with. And so we got to kind of maintain our margins or, be a little bit above our normal margins. Some of it went back to the guys though, right? Obviously, because they got paid extra too.
So again, win for your team, win for your customer, and win for you, the owner of Bluma. So Not to say every commercial job will flush out that successfully, but that is the nature of commercial work. If you can get it, it's a lot of your competitors are not going to want to pre-qual and go through the paperwork and the red tape and the pain of just getting to the job site per se. And so like you as the high quality operator may actually be able to get your normal margin on bigger dollars, which is real margin dollars.
Yeah. And for me, like this was so what we've started doing is our operations manager, she kind of runs all crew related operations that are kind of our standard fare. Most of our crews are doing 2 to 3 projects a day for residential clients. Like I don't touch those almost at all. And I'm only now helping project manage projects that are over kind of 10 grand, whereas like our average project's like 2 grand, right? And so it actually allows me to then focus on the few projects that really can move the needle or sort of, where project management generates value. So this is one where obviously the tree work was crucial to be done well and correctly, but being good at the project management side was a core part of why we could price it the way we did.
It's huge. It's a big deal.
Yeah. It was a cool job. It was it's kind of one of those so in Seattle, they recently built a new park right on the downtown waterfront area. And so now they're trying to build a bike path, pedestrian path to connect that park to an existing park. We're all along kind of this very touristy waterfront, like really cool little area. And so it's kind of fun to be part of that project that's sort of, like the Seattle waterfront, once this is done, will have this built in it, for whatever, 40 years probably. And like, we removed basically like 24 trees in 4 days that they needed to get out of there so that they could then, pave and put it in asphalt for the bike paths and the walkway. It's kind of a cool, like just part of the city project too.
So if you can get like some kind of marketing collateral from it, pictures, logo, maybe a testimonial from the client, and then a one pager for future commercial bids or opportunities. And, that way you've got a little bit of social proof alongside just a numeric estimate. So
I didn't even think about that. That's a
get
great
the
idea. I
flywheel
should do
going.
that. Yeah. No, that's great. I'm sure they'll do that too. I'm sure the client would be happy to write that. So yeah, so that was that. Chugging for. So I've been on the road for a week now. Actually, I'm headed back to Seattle tomorrow.
Where are you?
So right now I'm in San Antonio. Did a little like SMB plus friends golf trip to a really sweet course out here in San Antonio called Briggs Ranch. It's part of the Dormy network. I don't know if you've heard of that before.
Oh yeah. Well, the
yeah.
guy who set this up is SM Bootcamp alumni.
Correct. Tyler
and friend.
O'Connor.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So Tyler O'Connor owns Bird Golf Academy, which basically, he acquired that business as a searcher.
Yep.
And so that business puts on kind of, like 1 or 2, 3, 5 day sort of learn and play experiences for students all over the world. Great business you're telling me about it. It was super interesting. But as a result, he's sort of a member at some of these types of places like the Dormy Network. And so he was able to set up this trip for, we put it out there and, like I knew, I think 4 of the people coming out of 9, but 5 of them I'd never met before in person even, or talked to ever. And it was just one of those, like you put together a random group of guys and it was a great time.
That's neat. I'm super jealous. So what was interesting about, not to get into SMB again or search, but like Tyler, it's examples of exceptions to the rule. 1, you can actually buy something in an industry that you could put into like the fun bucket or hobby, or like you have an interest in it outside of, being an owner.
Yep.
And 2, I'm pretty sure you found it on Biz Buy Sell.
Oh, really? I didn't ask you about that, actually. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know. So anyway.
No, it's a great business. And like, he's a good golfer. He clearly really enjoys golf. So all of that, it just lines up well. But then also, this is sort of a side note on the whole trip, but like, I was so impressed by the operations at Briggs Ranch that like what I really want is to like go talk to whoever kind of is their operations person, whether it's at Dormy Network or at Briggs Ranch, to hear how have they like trained the team and all that. But like the level of detail, it was like, there were some like things that are like quite noticeable in attention to detail, which is like in the bathroom, like the little spouts on like every bottle, like conditioner, shampoo, like all facing the same direction every day after the day. But like, that's almost like table stakes, it felt like, relative to what they were actually doing, which was like, you would drive the golf cart back to your lodging at the end of the day, right? And so you just park it nose in and you'd walk into your like little, casita thing. And the next morning we come back and they'll have swapped out the golf cart with a new one that they backed in because it's fully charged and backed in, put new towels, new tees, like it was just perfectly set up. Like every little thing was like that. Like you roll up on day 1, they unload your car, they tag all your stuff, and because your rooms aren't ready yet, they take all your stuff to the locker room so that it's all sitting there so you can play your first round and so you can change. And then while you're playing your first round, they move it all from the locker room to your actual spot. And so then by the time like I was done with my first round, all my stuff was in my room.
That's so cool. So is this a private club or a resort?
I think it's sort of in between the two. Like you have to stay and play. I think that one of the caddies was saying there's like maybe 5 or 6 local members, but not really. So it is sort of but I think you become a member of the Dormy Network, which is like 13 courses. And so it's sort of, but I think they're all sort of stay and play courses.
Got it. That's super neat.
Yeah. I was quite impressed by how dialed like each of the, you get to the turn and they have a taco truck, but if you're trying to rush, you could just ask for a taco, then somebody else will drive it out to you on the 10th or 11th hole once it's ready. Like all of those like little things that they just have. It felt like effortless hospitality, and it's obviously not effortless because I know how hard it is to run an operation like that. And so that was what I was quite impressed by it.
That's neat. It's a fun experience.
Yeah. But I played 4 rounds in 3 days. which I don't think I've ever done actually.
And
Um, well, okay. It was a tough course. That is a
here we go.
yeah. The greens
Disclaimer.
were definitely the hardest greens I've ever played on. Like both the fastest and the most kind of random hilliness factor. Where even if you hit a good approach shot, like there were multiple shots we saw like across our groups where somebody would land it within 15 feet of the pin, and where it would end up would be like 30 yards off the green.
What was
So
it?
you really, it was fast, and you would there was a lot of putts that unless you hit the cup, like it was gonna roll off the green.
Wow, that's cool.
So it was cool, very challenging. We played 2 rounds like our own ball and then 2 scrambles because I think everyone was a little bit beat down by then. But the 2 rounds I played with myself, I shot 109 and then 106. And like I feel like I was like grinding for those, which like usually I'm playing in the 90s now, like low 90s.
Was that over par net of your handicap?
Wait, say that again?
Like net of your handicap, were you over par?
Oh yeah, net of my handicap was over par.
Yeah. Okay.
Because my handicap right now is 23, and I think those scores both ended up being like a differential of like a 32 and a 35.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
It's hard, yeah. But great time. And it was just one of those cool, like, what I really enjoy about hanging out with small business people or like searcher people is like, it's a lot of folks by nature who decided to blow up their life, right?
Yeah.
And like think about things a little bit broader than the kind of tried and true, like get a job, buy a house, do you know what I mean? And so it just, I find like I almost invariably, it's interesting people when I hang out with small business folks.
All right. So I know it's not on the agenda, or I don't think it is, but like, what were your takeaways? Whether it's like interesting businesses owned or general consensus on the small business environment, or I don't know. You learned something. What did you learn?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I mean, I think I'm always surprised when I talk to small business owners in different businesses, like how many of the problems they're dealing with are similar, right? Like you think let alone like set aside home services, right? Like home services is a pretty similar niche, so to speak. But like one of the guys was, he owns a medical kind of capital equipment distributor. But even that, like some of the basic stuff of just logistics, like making sure the right stuff gets loaded at the dispatch, like all like I don't know, like some of it is just it's all like like how people say like all business tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that where people are just they're dealing with people issues, they're dealing with basic operational issues, and they're dealing with how to find new sales. Like that's all it is.
Got it. So there's no interesting, unique findings. Everybody's just chugging, trying really hard. The small business grind.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's a couple guys who have I think experienced real growth over the past year, but I think what I've been hearing kind of across the board is, this past year it sounds like has been more grindy for a lot of folks than years prior.
Yeah, I've heard the same.
Yeah,
we're experiencing the same.
Yeah, I mean, so what I did is I first flew down to St. Louis because I had a tree conference there kind of Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then I came to San Antonio for the golf trip. So I was at a tree conference the back half of last week. And I feel like the energy there was definitely people were a little bit more beat down than I felt in the past. We've actually grown pretty well organically, knock on wood. But I think that's the result of like a couple of years of just really focused SEO work and all of that to like kind of like start popping in rankings. But I think if you were sort of steady Eddie, like this year was tough.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree. I think we're all experiencing that in large part. So,
remind me, are you in like any kind of peer group or anything like that?
No, I'm not actually. I mean, thankfully, I've got a lot of people like you and others in the small business world where it's a lot of one-on-ones, but nothing structured, nothing that feels like an outlet in a group, a Vistage, what is it called? EO or
YPO.
YPO, sorry, that one.
I mean, it's tough, right? Because like your businesses now it's more the hodgepodge nature of it. It's a little bit harder to maybe connect with people who are just doing one thing.
Totally.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my time is like very focused over the last year or two. I made a conscious decision to focus because 2 years ago it felt very hodgepodgey, and Like felt like I was suffering from like the no focus, distraction, can't prioritize. And I took a few things off the plate to simplify, but could always get better. I mean, you probably suffer from the same thing every minute you spend on this or talking to searchers or, it's time that it's either spent with Bluma or in my case, like I sometimes wonder, should I be recharging with that extra time?
Right. Just like downtime or time with your kids. And, there's always another place you could put the time.
Golf. I'm like golfing. Golf's time expensive. This episode is brought to you by the Kalmar Group, a recruitment firm that specializes in placing leaders in the SMB community. Most small business owners treat hiring like a side project. Post on a job board, text a few friends, and hope for the best. But when it comes to leadership roles, hope isn't a strategy. The truth is, your people are your most valuable asset, and building the right leadership team requires more than luck. It takes a proven process. That's where the Kalmar Group comes in. They help owners like you find exceptional leaders in operations, sales, finance, and marketing, from managers to the C-suite, so you can stop guessing and start growing. Whether you're running a long-standing business or just acquired one through ETA, change is constant. Key people leave, new opportunities arrive, and when they do, the Kalmar Group is there to help you hire with clarity, confidence, and speed. You hire an expert for legal, bookkeeping, taxes, etc., so why are you flying solo on recruiting and hiring? With clients across the country and a track record of results, Kalmar doesn't just fill roles, they raise the bar for how you hire. Led by founder Dylan Scroggins, a 15-year recruiting veteran, the Kalmar Group exists to help business owners stop settling for good enough and start hiring the kind of leaders who truly move the needle. To learn more, visit thekalmargroup.com or connect with Dylan directly. More details are in the show notes.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling tempted after this to should I really look at joining a golf club?
I'm getting off the wait list for mine very soon. Yes, by the time this podcast recording comes out, I should be off the wait list.
Nice. The problem I have, so the country club, golf club, whatever, that is in the perfect spot for me is it's between my house and work. So it'd be 5 minutes from work, 10 minutes from my place. So it's like the actual place I go and play a lot. It's kind of one of the old school, no denim, collars always, no hats in the clubhouse. Which I don't really enjoy that vibe. You know what I mean? Kind of the old school golf club. But it's also the place I would definitely play the most. So that's where I'm sort of, which matters more.
Yeah. So, and you have to ask yourself, is good going to be the enemy of great here? Because in Tampa, it's something similar exists. There's the best experience. It's caddies only. You pretty much have to bring your game, super private, 20 minutes, 25 minutes from my house. There's the place that has, call it the best group of people who play. There's always a game, really good conditioning, reasonably priced, 40 minutes away. And then there's the hyper local 5-minute drive family club. It's a good Donald Ross course, but there's no driving range essentially. And it's super tight. It's landlocked. And to me, for the next 15 years, it's a no-brainer. It's 5 minutes away. It's family friendly. That's the phase of life I'm in.
Yeah, you're not solving for the best golf. You're solving for where will you
the most
go?
golf.
Yeah, the most golf. Where will you go? Exactly. I think that's right. The problem I have is the one that's the most convenient is also probably one of the most expensive. So there's also that. But
I'm not going to disclose the gross margin dollars that you just made because those gross margin dollars could be, well, I guess they can't technically.
Yeah, those gross margin dollars are going straight to the SBA, man. Yeah, I think the monthly, I was joking, so Nick Fidelli, who was one of our mutual investors in Bluma, he was on this trip too. And I was joking to him being not the upfront initiation, but, the monthly membership. I could probably run that through the Bluma P&L because we probably cover that in new clients.
Yeah, seriously.
So we'll see if that happens or not. But I did come away at least from this trip being oh yeah, I like golf. I kind of forgot.
Yeah. Well, golf, I'm not warning you, but play a lot now. And the problem is like right now, any minute you're not spending on your business or recharging is expensive time, but like it only gets more expensive.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Anyways, so that was a trip. It was a good time. I think we'll try to plan some more, the small business community building is just fun. I really enjoyed that actually.
It is fun. Are you going to any ETA conferences this winter?
No, I've sort of limited myself to go to one a year, so I just go to SM Bash now.
Yeah. I was itching to go to a couple. One, I unfortunately had something come up that had to cause me to pull out. Harvard, no. Chicago. Actually, it was my first one, was that Chicago booth one. That's this time of year. This is the first one I ever went to. I think it was in like 2016 or 2017 or something like that. That got me to commit to ETA. But
No, I think what I might try to do for SM Bash next is in Dallas again, right?
yep,
Yeah. I think I might try to organize kind of like a scramble tournament before.
cool.
I think that
That'd
would
be
be
great.
really fun. Yeah. I'd never actually played a scramble before.
Really?
Yeah, because of like my learning of golf has been over the last sort of 9 years, right? And so I never played in high school or as a kid or anything.
Yeah, but scrambles are how most of us play now. Like charity golf events are almost always scrambles,
Yeah, so that's the
right?
thing is like I'm like since I've started learning to play golf, I've mostly been playing by myself or with like one buddy. Like
Got it.
I've almost never played. Like this is the first time I think I've done. This is like a golf trip with buddies type of energy. I've never done that before because none of
Yeah.
my friends growing up play golf.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or none of my college friends either. Just one.
Sure. I'm down. Like the Tuesday or the Wednesday in Dallas. That'd be great. Dallas has great
That's
golf.
what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll probably be the next sort of golf event for small business community, but I think it'll be fun.
Backing up a little bit, I would say I probably screwed up over the last 10 years not having a little peer group of small business owners that are totally non-competitive.
Yep.
Completely there to share and help and support,
Mm-hmm.
because this is definitely lonely. I don't think you want to be going home from your downswings, so to speak, and like venting straight to your spouse. I think you want, especially in the first few years, you want to know, okay, I'm dealing with XYZ problem. Is this typical? Is this just like a temporary thing? Or is it not? Do I have a huge problem? Does it need to be acute? And without that pattern recognition, I think that ownership, the owner community can really help. So
No, I've been in a peer group off and on for the past like full all 3 years of ownership, and also for about a year and a half before as a searcher. And it's all of the things you just said. But yeah, I've been surprised at how much it's not about tactical advice, right? Like it is sometimes about tactical advice. Like, hey, like I'm struggling to generate leads. What do you think I should go do? What should I test? Like that can be tactical. But more than that, it's often this like, hey, like I'm struggling with this portion of my business. Like, am I an idiot or is like everyone struggling with this, right? That just getting to like, I like have, because like your spouse, even if they're super supportive and helpful, they don't actually have the context to give you unless they're also a small business owner. And so that's there, like the peer group is actually like fills that hole much better than your spouse can.
and further, I think it's true. It's easier to advise like somebody else than it is yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're more logical, more clinical, and
Oh, absolutely.
that's hard to facilitate locally, maybe. Right. Because for 1,000 reasons, but like you're not going to get together with local tree care professionals and flush those issues out. It's too personal.
Yeah. There's also a benefit, honestly, for your partner, your spouse, because sometimes I would vent about stuff to Anna and she could kind of go with like, she could hear me out, but then she'd say like, hey, like for problem solving, like why don't you bring this up with your peer group? And which was like always a good redirect. I was like, yep, you're right. Like, like we have our next meeting, whatever, next week. Like I'll sit on it until then.
Okay, so you are involved in a peer group, and I get the why and maybe what that would look like. Because I think I joined one time at a few years ago at some point.
Yeah,
it was like early morning.
Like, you were like a guest speaker or something.
I just remember it was in the morning, and I thought, gosh, this is a good idea. Like before everybody's crises begin for the day. But why do you also have a business coach if you have a peer group?
That's a good question. So I've stopped doing the business coaching actually. I
Okay.
did it as a sort of 6-month segment, which I found quite helpful. I did that with Rory Tyre, who's also, a searcher who bought a
Yep.
business. And I wouldn't be surprised if I go back to him and be like, hey, can we do another 6-month engagement at some point? But
Yeah.
with Rory, what was helpful with the coaching was, hey, like, let's sit down one-on-one and talk about what are the things I need to focus on. And it's a lot more like a therapist for your business, right? And making sure you're sort of picking your head up out of the weeds and looking forward. The peer group it's different, right? The peer group is more about, hey, you're telling the peer group, these are the things I'm working on. Can you help me stay accountable? Like, these are the issues that I'm dealing with in my business. Can you help work with them with me or provide support? Like, the coach was actually helping me figure out what should I be working on in the first place.
Got it. Okay. So in many ways, the coach can help you prioritize what the issues are. The peer group can help you resolve them in some
Exactly.
respects.
Yeah. So
Okay.
right now I don't have a coach, so I'm self-determining each quarter, like what are my kind of quarterly rocks, if we were in a ELS system. And so like in the peer group I have right now going, there's just a few of us. We've kind of made the group small. Basically, we each meeting, we've decided the first quarterly meeting, these are our goals for the quarter. And like, these are the progress we want to see at the next month's check-in. And so we all set our kind of Q4 goals, but then we did a check-in at the end of October to see like how have we progressed, since the start of the quarter, and then set a new check-in for the end of November. And then at the end of December, we'll see if we complete these goals or not.
Got it. Interesting. Would you suggest that having one or the other is more useful in the early days?
That's a good question. I think in the early days, I think the first 2 years, the peer group is more helpful because it's a little bit obvious how much stuff there's to work on, right? Like like you're doing a lot of, like urgent, important work, like, which is, you're not necessarily working on the business, but it's usually pretty clear, like, hey, these are the things, like, and it depends on the business maturity, obviously, but as the business matures, then I think it's helpful to work with the business coach to help figure out, hey, what should my priorities be? Right? Like, I have a list now of the initiatives I'm gonna work on, but I gotta actually pick what I want to work on. And like that I find that to be more helpful with a business coach.
Okay. That makes sense. So peer group first. And then once you got to a point where you understand your own company, but maybe things are stabilized, you actually know what you bought,
Exactly.
then you need to step back and say, hey, like, where am I going from here? What are my objectives? What's my strategy? And it more of a, like you said, a business therapist to help you identify, like, what do you want from your business and how to get there.
Yeah, totally. And like the
I like
first
that.
year, you just have to be so reactive, right? Like
Yes.
things break and you react. Things break and you react. Like it's only like I felt like it wasn't until year 3 that I was able to look ahead a little bit and be like, hey, this is broken in our business, but it's not broken like it doesn't work every day. It's just not that good, right? Like we can make this better. Like I'm gonna now choose to allocate time to rebuilding this process because as we've grown, it's gotten worse or something,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been I am going to start a new peer group actually pretty soon here for tree care specific owners. And so that the benefit of home services, right, is like we're not competitive as long as we're in different regions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's been now, I think, 5 different searchers who have bought tree businesses around the country.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
which is
cool.
cool. Yeah, the benefit of my blog is like or my podcast I've been on, like I've been on Acquiring Lines or whatever. It's like folks will usually reach out to me if they buy a tree business to be like, hey, like I bought a tree business or I'm doing diligence on a tree business. So I kind of know who the searchers are who have done that. So we'll try to set up a peer group here in the next month, hopefully.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Next, you can have like a GPO or something like, economically supportive. This episode is brought to you by Aspen HR. Are you sick and tired of dealing with rising health insurance costs? Did you just acquire a business and discover the employee handbook hasn't been updated in 5 years? Do you think there is an opportunity to make your payroll process more efficient? Or are you tired of dealing with slow responses and payroll errors from your current vendor? If you want to professionalize your HR, benefits, and payroll function, reach out to Aspen HR. Run by a former searcher, Mark Sinatra, Aspen HR is the white glove PEO for search operators. email sales@aspenhr.com today. And for our listeners, Mark will offer you a complimentary HR due diligence assessment.
Well, that's true. Wait, what is it? Wait, say, what is a GPO?
Like a group purchasing organization where
yeah, totally.
you
I think that's
guys,
where I would love to build towards that.
yeah, I don't actually know what that would mean, but something that economically can benefit your guys' collective bargaining power.
Absolutely. There's actually, I've learned recently that there's a captive insurance group or insurance, whatever, mutual, like for tree care. I mean, they're larger businesses for the most part, but yeah, they're basically like the way it works for people who don't know is basically like everyone pays in premium to a group, but then like there's basically no company taking the winnings, so to speak, at the end of the year. Like however much the margin was on the overall insurance for the year gets redistributed back to the members. It's sort of like a true like mutual insurance program.
Correct. Among a smaller group of businesses, generally in the same or related industries, so that it's like shared but understood risk.
Right. And then obviously the key part of it is like basically like tree companies that are north of whatever, 5 million, 10 million, I don't know what their actual benchmark is. Like they actually do operate more safely than tree companies that are 1 million of revenue because they've had to build in the systems and the safety training and all of that. And so basically you're saying, hey, I think this group of 40 companies collectively will experience a lower loss ratio than the insurer, and we can pull out at least some of the insurer margin as well.
Exactly.
So
because otherwise
we'll
you're
go
paying
up into that, but yeah,
and otherwise you're paying premium to essentially pay for the outsized risk of the smaller, riskier firms.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so that's sort of like there's sort of interesting things that can happen as you build more industry connections and groups and all of that, which I think is like for the most part like being more value additive to your competitors, even though they're not, it's not like your like next door competitor, but like your overall competitors seem super worth it.
Totally, that's neat.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to tell you, I was talking to this one tree company owner who they've now bought a few that are like one's in Florida, one's in Wisconsin, one's in Illinois. And they're telling me about how they do like an annual, like each business runs separately, which I think is how you guys do it as well. But they've now started doing kind of like holding company wide, like tree climbing competition and like at one of the locations and they'll fly in the rest of the team, which is pretty sick because they actually have the platform now to be able to do that. But that's like, I can't offer my team that experience, whereas they can.
Yeah, that's neat. When you say competition, like physically in person, they'll compete. That's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do your own version of that.
Tree climbing competition is a thing.
Yeah.
But they're generally put on by the regional chapters of, our trade organization. So these guys are basically just putting on their own in-house climbing competition.
Yeah. I mean, that's a great idea. I think the hard part is when you're geographically distributed is like just physically spending time together is expensive and time consuming. And the benefits are like not necessarily tangible. But then you do it and you're like, God, we should be doing this more often. Like it's so worth it.
No, I mean, I wonder if like, I assume there's no like fencing competitions, but could you create like an Olympic time trials event type of thing where it's like, how fast can you lay posts? How fast? I don't know what the thing, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like if you could do them locally for cheap at each of your local branches and then like the winners get flown to one big one, you know what I mean?
I do.
And like that gets like, you would obviously like video it so everyone can watch it or something from from their own places. Like that would be kind of sick.
It would be sick. And I think the whole point is like the barrier can be low to doing things like that because we're all in the same day-to-day like execution, doing the same general things. I'm not saying it's harder. I'm just saying I got to think about what that could be.
So, anyways, so because tree climbing competitions are sort of a tried and true format now, which is interesting. So
yeah, there's also like the cheap. my words are not right here, but tree chopping. What is that called?
Oh, like there's like the more that's what do they call it? Like not like chainsaw, but like
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
it's like chainsaw operation type stuff. Yeah.
There's also the one where they're like standing and like running on the log that's in the water.
Yeah. The problem with something like that is that now one of your team is going to get hurt. And now you're just like, okay, well, is this workers' comp?
Oh, God. I was going to say earmuffs to your insurance agency.
No, exactly. So anyways, there's some fun, like, you can start to go more and more out of the box, I think, as you get bigger, because you just have more fluff, frankly, to play with in terms of finding out ways to build team and culture and all of that. So I'm kind of excited to sort of keep expanding into that part of the business.
Yeah, I mean, I envy your situation is you have a little bit of seasonality. So, or I wouldn't say a little, sorry, you have a lot of seasonality. And like there is a season for everything then. Like, even though it's not great because it's probably ugly outside, like wintertime is a good time. It's the holidays. People generally want to take it slow, and that works for you guys. So there's some good space for it.
Yeah, I mean, so last year for the first time, I think I told you about this, we did a full team retreat.
Yeah.
And like I had rented a big, Airbnb, and the guys loved it. They had a great time. And we took basically the crew, like the leadership team and sales team came out Thursday after work. So they took Friday as a paid day as we kind of worked on stuff in house, while the rest of the crew sort of worked like a half day. And then they came and joined us. And then Saturday was just sort of like more of like a hangout. And then people could stay Saturday or night if they wanted. A bunch of people chose to stay. And then like we left on Sunday. So that I booked another one for this upcoming February now. And like, I've been dropping little hints about it to the guys about like, yep, it's booked. These are the dates. Make sure you don't plan a trip for that. But I haven't told them like what it is or where, but it's going to be like pretty fun. And like, I got a bigger place because our team's bigger now.
Are you coming with an agenda?
We will. Yeah, we'll have like, so for this last year's one, the agenda was really building out some core values and mission and vision, which I think went over quite well, though I need to do a better job of reinforcing it. But this upcoming one, we're still working on the agenda, but I think what I would love to do on this next one is a little bit more of calibration between sales and crew, and just spend some time being like, hey, can we get better at standardizing our pricing? Because like we could actually just go look at trees together and like actually like time stuff, like, do things like that.
So you split sales and crew, which makes sense. I wonder if like sending one group to do the other's job, like in quotes, because they can't actually do that, just to, if nothing else, have some empathy.
Yeah.
For how the other person's job is harder than it looks on paper.
Absolutely. So it's interesting because the sales team, they all came from the field, right? So they've all done what the crew members have done at some point, but the longer they've been out of it, the more they're like, the young guys are just complaining. You're like, I could have done it. And so that's where you're like, they know that, but the active crew members are like, we're the ones doing the actual work. But
5 hours over budget. That's crazy. Yeah. What were they doing?
No, exactly. So that's where we have to like, there's always something that we kind of manage there. But like generally our team is pretty good about not kind of, our sales team is pretty good about not being kind of like egoistic about it or whatever. But there does require kind of ongoing feedback loops. And those feedback loops are hard to create unless you really go to them. That's a good point. But yeah, tree care, for one of the big downsides, I think, of our industry is it is extremely hard to build a price sheet. Like it doesn't exist. Like no company, like you can't do anything piece rate. You can't do anything like standardized in the sense of like all Douglas fir tree removal costs X $1,000. If it's like, it's a 50 feet, 70 feet, 100 feet, like these are your prices, because it varies so much based on like proximity to the house. Is it in the front yard or the backyard? Is it down some steps or not? Like those changes could move the price by, 15 to 20%. And so no one in the industry that I've been able to come across has really built out any sort of standardization other than you're just trying to estimate hours on every job.
All right. So this is a good one for everyone, because you just made a point that one of what you consider a defect in the tree care business is it's hard to systematize your estimating. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So I've been in a business before when we were in the roll-off dumpster business where everything was by a book. we had a literal price sheet. There were only so many variables. There was the size of the dumpster, where it was going, how many days you wanted to rent it for, and by implication, how much per day if you went over, and how much weight to include in the rental, and then how much to charge per whatever of weight if they went over. There were no other, like everything was mechanical. And so like then there's a race to kind of race to the bottom pricing. It's a commodity. And so then it's even more a marketing game and a lead game, because then you need to drive more leads to get your conversion rates to work, because you can't win on price or on service.
No, that's a very fair point, right? So there's a certain like opacity to tree estimates and quotes in general. And so like it's very normal for clients to get multiple quotes and still, they don't go with the low bid. They go with like often the bids that are the most descriptive, or like the arborist they felt the most comfortable with and all of that.
Which means you can create alpha in your business. I can understand as the owner who's trying to have a steadier life why you crave like that systemization so that you can teach it and scale. But from like a generating the above normal margin that you do, probably want to keep it where it's at.
No, that's a very fair point. That's an interesting part of tree care, that like we're selling the team's experience in addition to the literal work they're doing, because the work can be done better or worse, and like more safely or less safely, or quicker or slower. Like there's a lot
Or
of
you
other
can give
variables
your
also.
customer the perception that you're higher quality, you're safer, you're better. They just like you more. Or as opposed to like the commercial side, I know you were worried in switching to commercial that it was going to be a commodity service where you're just hacking trees and it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, no, I hear that. It's an interesting issue. Yeah, I guess this is definitely a grass is greener one, right? But
That is something that every small business owner, though, definitely feels is like every one of us can point to the nature of our business, the quality of the revenue, you name it. And we're like, if we could just have that. So easy to forget that you have considerations about Bluma that we envy.
that's super fair. Yeah, I mean, I think we just hired a new sales arborist, and I've been going through the training process and trying to build out better training materials for him. It's just hard. It's hard to create a training module for a sales arborist. It's really like like the only way we've been doing able to figure out what to do is you send the person out with one of your other sales arborists, and you ideally send them out with like all of them for a day or two each. And so like you end up like at least like 2 weeks or 3 weeks of them going out and just sort of calibrating. But like there's never there's nothing. I wish I could just give him a piece of paper and be like, hey, like this is how to be a sales arborist at Bloom.
Yeah. All right. So let's do like a little tactical injection here, because I know people always like those. So, like, do you have a piece of technology you've been able to implement, not so much like in the field, but in the office to make your operations more efficient? That's kind of either new or a surprise to you or Bluma?
I mean, we use a like an invoicing CRM now, right? And like kind of an ERP, whereas that used to all be sort of handwritten quotes and like a Google Calendar.
Got it. So I've started using Loom a lot lately, and then kind of saving just a directory of Loom videos by topic. And it's just really cool to have the dynamic, whether it's just the nothing on the screen except for a face, just walking through the thought process, or the thing where like the face is in the bottom corner and it's the screen that gets recorded. But I've just found like that, and then just always save them, put them under a topic is a really, it's not a perfect way to do SOPs, but it's kind of a nice, fast, convenient way to get them started.
Well, so that's what I'm thinking about with this upcoming retreat, right? It's like, could we go walk around and look at trees and take videos of our crew leaders and salespeople like talking about a tree, yeah, and going through because like you basically like you say like, hey, like here's the tree. Let's think through the considerations of like how are they going to ascend the tree? Where are they going to have to make cuts? where is the debris going to land? How far is the chipper going to be from here? And just have them talk through that and then do that for like 10 different tree types and situations and just sort of build a little repository of like in-house videos, basically.
Totally. And where are the 20 ways we have had safety hiccups or like overrunning budget on time because of certain things that held or slowed you up?
So I think that's what in theory could be cool to do as a group project, while we're at that thing. Just like,
Yeah.
and we don't need it to be high production value, right? But like I could create groups and like, it'll be like one sales arborist and one crew leader and then a couple junior guys. And like, they're split up into like whatever, 4 groups and they're all sort of trying a different type of, tree situation. Like, because while it is obviously every tree is different, our overall like scope of services, there's probably like 10 common ones we do. Right. And so sort of creating a little video to talk about each one and the quirks of them and stuff like that.
It's really neat. You can put it in like a collective, I don't know, format. And then like maybe that's part of the benefit of being in your peer group is you get this database of videos. And so there's like tactical reasons to want to join. And part of the cost of joining is you have to contribute to those videos or something.
Yeah, you got to add your own videos in and stuff. Yeah.
And then once you do that, more people are going to want to join. And then people are going to want to pay to be a part of that. And then you've got yourself a version of what Peter Lohman has.
Listen, that's everyone's end game is to build what Peter Lohman has.
Peter, you're not listening. But if you were, can you come on our podcast?
That's exactly right. I mean, I think I am going to charge a little bit just for this tree care group we're putting together, not to like really make money on it, just so that there's a little bit of buy-in,
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about, tell me what you think about this idea. This is my off the cuff idea, but like, so it sounds like a lot of peer groups that like pricing ranges around like $400 to $500 a month. So like that's for like a full, like where it's a real operator of peer groups getting that, and like YPO is more expensive. But what I'm thinking of is if I do it as like $200 a month, right? So like $2,400 for the year, but for like a monthly meeting. But basically, like if you attend at least 10 of them, I'll give you a big chunk of the money back. Because for me, as like if I'm going to be the organizer, the actual like the headache of the work is if I have to chase people, right, and actually like get them to show up and like do the tasks or whatever that we decide as a group. And so like if I have people that are just bought in and showing up, that I can give them a discount at the end of the year because they actually did cost me less effort. Whereas the ones, if somebody only came to like 7 or like I had to keep like corralling, like they just pay the full trade because like that is the value, like that is the cost it was to me. I don't know. I'm thinking of something like that.
I like it. I like it a lot. Now I wouldn't want to be you that has to enforce that. So here's another.
But they pay the money up front, right? That's the key. I just get to give the money back.
Right. But then like when people show up 20 minutes late to one of your meetings and you tell them they need to, does it count? Yes.
Oh God. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't love that.
All right. So let's loop golf back in. One of the better ideas I ever heard was there's a group of guys who organized their annual golf event and they did it when they were young and had a lot of free time. But what they did is in order to be in the group, you had to put on auto pay monthly a contribution to the pool. So like, let's say the out-of-pocket costs, not the flights, not your meals, but like the stuff that once you're at the golf event, you have to cover, like the tee times, maybe the collective meals, you would contribute monthly to the pot. And if you don't go, you lose your contribution. And then it pays to offset the cost of everybody else's attendance.
And so you're sort of like paying into the eventual event.
Yes.
And like, but you only get the benefit if you actually show up.
Exactly. But then it's like, well, then you say to yourself, well, I've already paid and I'm going to lose it unless I go. And then you can say to your spouse, hey, like we're paying into this. Alani's gone. Like, so all those things that just make it more likely people are going to they're going to show up.
Yeah. Create incentives, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
So I got to figure out what to do with this tree care. I'm like pretty excited because I want to basically. I've already talked to each of the individuals who want to join. So I have the group basically set up. I just have to actually like launch it, but I would love to launch it, sort of like January, like do like a organizing call in December and then really start the year. So, because I think you need for the peer groups each year, there needs to be a bit of a renewal, like recommitment to the group type of thing. Because, people's lives just change. And so doing it on the calendar year is actually pretty convenient.
It is. So speaking of holidays, before buying small companies, I was a lawyer. And so the winter time, call it the holidays, whatever holidays you celebrate. Yeah, I think it's understood that between October 1 and Jan 1, there are a lot of holidays. In big law, it was a nervous time of year because like in October, there were a bunch of clients who were going under LOI. And there was that inevitable email from my former boss. Hey, Steve, talking to you. We're still friends.
Like a picture of him or something. Well, what are you pointing at? You just work under Steve's picture just to remind yourself.
Pointing to my camera. He would send the email. It's like, hey guys, we have this dozen deals that need to get done in the next like 75 days. So just putting you on notice. And it was just a dread because it was a highly seasonal business. Around year end, deals get done. It makes no sense. It's just a reality. But now that I've moved into primarily like blue collar service company, that world, I have been shocked generally how slow the blue collar trades are over the holidays.
Oh my gosh, it actually turns off for a while.
Well, when it's the first time you're getting into one and it's the first set of holidays, you think your world is ending. Like I remember when we were in the dumpster business, we essentially worked at our call center and like you could tell you had a pulse on that day's revenue based on like how often the phone rings and far enough in, you kind of know like the phone just wasn't ringing that day. It was, so I tell you that first Thanksgiving week of that first year, I like if somebody told me like a nuclear bomb went off in America, I would have believed them. And I thought our world was over because I just didn't have any pattern recognition.
No, that's how I felt also with like our closing rate dives off a cliff at the end of August because like people are on vacations, they forget about their quotes or whatever, and then like clockwork, first week of September they're back and like we hit them all then, right? And like they accept their bids.
And so like if you're a first timer, you have no idea. You just ride the roller coaster, and then if you had somebody just warn you or had a peer group or whatever, it's like, okay, this is not the end of the world. We're not dying here. Crazy, isn't it?
By the way, this is a totally off-topic thought, but how far is Fort Lauderdale from Tampa?
Flying or driving?
Or whatever is the way you would do it.
That's the question. So it's a 4-hour give or take drive.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Or like a 45-minute flight.
Got it.
It's one of those
next year's the big tree conference that I just was at in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Next year it's in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay. What time of year? This time of year?
This time of year, like kind of early November or mid-November.
Yeah. I mean, I think my guess is from Seattle, because I know I took this flight over the summer with 3 kids, by the way. That was fun. The Seattle to Tampa Alaska Airlines flight is like 6 hours, but it's direct. So like you'll probably end up taking a direct if you want to go there first all the way to Miami and then drive an hour up. But like you could easily southwest from Fort Lauderdale to here, hang out for a couple days, play golf, and then jump on the direct Alaska Air to Seattle.
Right. So that's what I'm thinking. So I think what we do is this SM Bash is like the next like SMB golf event. And then the next one after that could be November in Tampa.
Awesome. I'll host.
And then that's when I'll buy you your golf round.
Okay, deal. That's right. I won.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's what I'm thinking about. When am I going to put Florida in the travel plans? And I think that's how it's going to work.
Yeah, I would highly suggest not having him in the plans from like May 1 through October 15.
Okay, good. Because I think this would be like basically like November 10th or something like that.
It's great. Today. This morning, there was ice on my car in Tampa, Florida. Yeah. Good.
It's called weather.
Well,
Like,
it'll be
it's called
85
seasons.
tomorrow afternoon.
Is it really going to be 85 tomorrow?
Yeah, so this is this cold snap that's happening is off the charts. It was fun, but like it never lasts.
Oh, it'll pass. Okay, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well,
Top of the
in
hour.
an hour. Yeah, crazy. I guess
That
we
was a
didn't really
riff.
have a topic today.
That was fun.